Are you able to see my PowerPoint presentation? The main slide right now is saying why certification, IT certifications.
Yes, I can see it, and I'm sure everyone else.
All right. Excellent. And guys, welcome to everyone who has just joined us. Let us try to make it interactive. I love to talk rather than, just present. I love that feedback. If you feel there's burning questions, I think, yeah, you can allow me to, stop, and then maybe we discuss a bit if there's something burning. Otherwise, we will say at the end of the this very short presentation, I will give you, we have some time where we can chat as well, ask questions. And so today my discussion with you guys is on why IT certifications. I'm going to assume that most of you have got an IT background, or you are doing studies in computer science. If not, yes, still, it's a very pertinent question. I have met people in our profession who are in IT, but they are mining engineers, they were geologists, they did a degree in geology, and then later on moved into IT. So IT it's getting interesting from that perspective. You have a number of people who don't necessarily have an IT degree, but end up now actually working in IT with a certain IT skill set. So the question that we want to answer is, especially I think for students, why IT certifications? Why is it important? We are living in a period where there's obviously competition in the job market. So the question is, when I'm coming from college, am I preparing for the life after college? Because many of you, if you check, you probably more than 95% are going to walk out of a university with a degree. With a degree qualification. I think the fact that our universities are very thorough in their when they are onboarding students makes it easy that all of you have got huge potential to actually pass that degree. So the degree in itself, you and your companions, you find yourself, you are competing with others who are coming from MSU, your fellow students there from UZ, from NAST, from CAT, Bindura University. We have so many universities as of now. So the question is, what is going to make you stand out when the employer is considering you for a particular position? What is going to make the HR make a decision? Look, I'm going to take this student instead of that. So you probably, most of all of you will be having a degree. So the question is, how will I stand out among the competition? So this is a right time where we need then to think, what is it? What are the things that will distinguish me? What are the things that will differentiate me? And this aspect of IT certifications becomes very key in terms of giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace. Because not only are you saying I've got the degree, but you are saying I have demonstrated knowledge, I've demonstrated that I've got skills in the particular area. And what you find is that companies, corporates are using specific technologies. They are either using, whether it's Microsoft technologies, Oracle technologies, VMware, you name it, all these vendors of various technologies. So at the university, I've been studying about all the various concepts, and I've got a thorough understanding, but I may not have exposure to a particular technology which the company is using. So by allowing myself to, for example, certify, it gives me an edge over my companions, because now, not only now do I have a degree, but I'm also demonstrating that I have got the skill to deliver results, skill to manage, to operate a particular given technology, which will cause us to stand out. So, and as we begin, let us maybe just start by talking about why should you earn an IT certification? In other words, what is the value of an IT certification to you and to the employer? An IT there are a number of organizations, technology vendors. They come up with some standardized testing, so that when you actually go through that standardized testing, you are able to demonstrate that by you going through those studies or the standard testing, you're able to demonstrate that you are dedicated, you have the motivation, you have the technical know-how or technical knowledge on a specific platform. So once you earn that certification, it then gives you a benchmark that even the employer is able to say, look, this person has an edge on this particular technology. So that makes you more marketable to the HR people when they are looking for certain specific skills. So organizations are not looking for degrees. Organizations are looking for demonstrated ability to deliver results in a particular technology. And what you find is that organizations have specific technologies that they have in their environment. It could be a hybrid. They could be centering on a particular technology. And so this is the reason why there's often a disconnect between our institutions of higher learning and what the employer is looking for. Because the employer has made sometimes a number of investments in Oracle technology, in Microsoft technology, in VMware, in IBM technology. And so what they are looking for people who are able to manage those technologies. They are looking for people who will help them to be able to utilize that investment they've already put into technology to increase productivity, efficiency, effectiveness, to better support business outcome. And so by you certifying, you are proving to the employer that I have demonstrated understanding of the technology. I've got the knowledge,
I have a
the
question.
know-how. Hello, yes.
What
Come
is
in,
the
you've got a
IT
question?
certification cost?
Pardon?
What is the IT certification cost?
All right. Okay, that's a very the answer to that is very broad. It varies. So allow me at the end. We can try to address this. It varies from various technology to another.
What happens if I lose my IT certification?
So if you lose your connection, sorry, I think I'm already losing you.
Just a few housekeeping issue. Can we give Mr. Nheta maybe 15-20 minutes so that he does his presentation, and then maybe after he has done, we can then start asking him questions. I'm afraid we might start asking questions that he's going to be answering later in his presentation.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Mr. Nheta, you can go ahead.
All right. Okay, thank you. So number one, why certify? I put the, it helps you to get hired. It gives you an edge, as I've already been alluding to in my discussion. It demonstrates that you have an understanding, you've got a competence, you've got ability to actually do the job. So that makes you stand out among the competition. Um, Why certify? It also helps you to retain your job. Job retention. We know many organizations are in an environment where we are trying to reduce costs as much as possible. And one way to actually reduce cost is when you skill up, when you certify, you, you are demonstrating that the value that you have to the organization, and that then allows, should there be
I'm
need
sorry, I have to
to
go. I lose my child, but you have a very nice class. Thank you.
okay. So we'll try to connect with you somehow. Maybe you can drop in an
Thank
email and
you.
then we can share some information. Also,
I'm
in
sorry, I
organizing,
regret what I said. You ruined it.
hello. So also you are able to demonstrate if you want to climb organization, maybe to move in the up the corporate ladder into better position, take more responsibility. Um, there could be a number of you vying for the same position. This is where certifications can also differentiate you by giving you an edge over maybe your fellow mates if they don't have similar certifications. And also certification allows you to, gives you networking opportunities. So what this happens when, for example, you become a Microsoft certified engineer, you'll be able to connect with a group of, with a community of similar engineers and share experience in terms of your work, in what they've gone through, what you also go through. You are able to share
You are
knowledge
very
sharing becomes
beautiful. Goodbye.
professional credibility. In many countries, certification provide you that professional credibility. Um, think about your Microsoft certified solutions engineer. You have immediate credibility in terms of how you your ability to actually to show that you are a professional in the particular industry. I know, for example, that in other countries, they, besides having a degree program, they also give you, if you are going to practice as an IT profession, there are certain professional certifications that you have to do. For example, in Kenya, if you are to be regarded as an IT profession, you need to have some IT service management certification in I2. So this shows you that in addition to the degree, they are recognizing the importance of certifications in complementing what your degree program has. It in giving you certain skills that the that the university may not be able to give you. So your certification gives you that professional credibility, and definitely leads to more employable programs. Now, depending on the type of employer that you are working for, there are also some partnership programs which makes it mandatory for those organizations to have certified professionals running some technology. For example, many IT company, whether they be an IBM vendor, Oracle vendor, Microsoft vendor, as part of being a partner to Microsoft, they are required to have certain skill sets, certain certifications on part of their team.
Mr. Nheta, are you still there? Seems we have lost Mr. Nheta. Let me just try to contact him and try to add him back to the meeting. Okay. Fortunate, are you able to add Mr. Nheta back to the meeting? Hi guys, just please be with us as we try to get Mr. Nheta back here in the meeting. I'm sure he's experiencing just a technical challenge, something maybe to do with his network.
Good day, everyone. Sorry for the hiccup. Mr. Nheta is actually, he's just been disconnected. I'm not sure what happened, but he's trying to connect. Kindly wait for him for a few minutes. He's actually going to be online in a few minutes. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Fortunate. That's okay. Maybe whilst we wait for Mr. Nheta, we can just have some questions in case there are some burning questions. There are people who might be able to answer. I can be able to take some of the questions. We've got many other experienced IT professionals who might be able to assist. So if you've got people who might have some questions from Mr. Nheta's presentation so far. Well, good thing.
Yes, please go ahead with questions.
Hello?
Seems like Mr. Nheta is back with us. Good thing.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Sorry for that that disruption.
No, it's fine. I'd taken over for you, so you can take your throne back now.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for that.
Are you still there, Mr. Nheta?
Yes, I'm there. I'm trying to see if I can share my screen with you guys. Just give me a moment. I actually,
Yes, Mr. Nheta.
right, let me just proceed without necessarily sharing.
That's okay.
I'm sure we can still make, yeah, because I don't know, for some reason, I lost some certification, some settings on the machine.
No, it's okay.
So I was just, you know, yeah, just a recap. I was talking about the networking opportunities that are there once you certify, because when you certify, when you gain a particular certification with a vendor or a manufacturer of a technology, you then join a unique group of certified and skilled professionals. So this can prove to be an invaluable peer resource group when seeking, let us say, answers to problems that you are facing in your own environment, or you are sharing solutions for your own challenging scenario, technology, implementing, managing. If there are challenges you face, chances are that there are similar professionals like you. We have done it before, and that becomes that gives you an opportunity to actually, share and learn from others. So that's what to you. And then I had also touched on the professional credibility that you get when you're certified. So because we are saying certifications will demonstrate your dedication, your motivation to professional development. It shows that you are willing to develop yourself. Many of our peers, if you, I don't know how many, most likely in these participants are students. But for those like me who went to university some uh, 15, 20 years ago, you know that technology has definitely been changing. So if you are going to remain relevant as an IT professional, you also need to be, certifying, demonstrating that the new technology, you are abreast with it, you know how to manage it, you are comfortable, you have got the competence, to deliver the results that your customers, your organization that you work for are looking for. Because, I mean, look, the curriculums for our programs don't often change as much. However, technology is changing. I certainly, gentlemen, can say when I joined the IT profession, there was nothing like cloud computing. If at all, internet was just being introduced in our country, and even the buzz of internet had not, really taken shape. So you can imagine what sort of skill set were relevant at that particular point in time. And look now where we've got proliferation of cloud computing services, allowing organizations to run as a service, service infrastructure as a service, applications, database as a service. So all this new phenomenon means that we need to skill up. We need to update our skills. We need to work on the next version of you as an individual. So it becomes very imperative in terms of the professional credibility. And then I spoke about the partner programs. Depending on the organization that you work for, it may be mandatory. I mean, just to maybe give an example of Adept, we, in our offering of IT training, for us to be a Microsoft certified training partner or a people set, there are certain skill sets that we need to have in-house. So that means our team actually needs to certify in certain programs. that are relevant to the requirements of the vendor of the technology. And in some cases, if you are running mission critical systems, maybe certification or certain skill sets may actually be required as part of, you know, the organization not breaching an SLA. So that's what. So those are some of the advantages of why should we certify. And then lastly, maybe let me talk a bit about the new and current technology. The new technology is space is constantly changing. There are a lot of new things that are happening in our field. We used to have a situation where IT is a more of a background function. However, if you look carefully, IT is now an enabler of the business. IT literally enables every business function or business unit to carry out its mandate. I try to imagine whether it's a bank or an organization that does not have IT systems in place. So more and more, we are very dependent on IT systems. When they look at social media, when they look at all of us, the technology that we are consuming and using on a daily basis, we can't literally live without this technology. Someone iconed this generation to be the digital native. We are constantly utilizing IT solutions, interacting with the IT solutions one way or another. So that really means that the more organizations are depending on technology for them to be effective, to reach out their customers, to deliver goods and services, the more critical our IT industry has become. So that opens new opportunity for the young people, for the people that are graduating. It opens more doors. But the question is, do we have the right skill set? Does the degree, the life after your degree program, the next chapter, this is something that you need to seriously consider. Do I have the right skill set for me to be employable? Like I said, the employer, the degree is important. I'm not trying to belittle it. It helps us to have a good grounding to understand of IT, of technology. It helps us to be grounded, to have the basic concepts. However, the employer is looking for certain skill sets, and therefore it becomes important for certifications to assist us in making sure that we have got the skills that the employer is looking for. And more importantly, even if you don't want to be, I know there are some of us who are techies who want to be developing their own solutions. Still, your certifications helps you to validate, to prove that you are capable of delivering certain skills. Some stats from Microsoft. I borrowed this basically from Microsoft. They say that from the research that they've done, 23% of their certified technologists reported receiving a 20% increase in salary after certifying. Also, 38% of IT positions at the current moment in 2020 to 2021, 38% of IT positions are related to cloud. So if you think about it, you may, how many of us do we have those cloud skills? Organizations have been looking for cloud engineers. Their organizations are moving their disaster recovery plans into the cloud. through things like infrastructure as a service. So the question is, if 38% of positions are opening in that space, do I have the skills for me to be able to work in that space? Also, some stats just for you to some takeaways. We are saying 35% of IT professionals say they are more influential during cloud deployment than their counterparts during deployments of other technologies. So you can see the orientation of organization, obviously the cost savings that are coming through the usage of cloud. And the 37% of IT professionals claimed certification helped them to perform complex tasks more confidently because they had become more knowledgeable. So these are some of the, just the stats. Now, these are stats taken from a global. Maybe you can say, okay, what about our own situation? From experience, one of the things that we do as Adept is that we do certifications with various vendors, Microsoft, Oracle, VMware, and so on. And what we are seeing is that once in a while, employers will say to me, look, I'm looking for someone with these skills. And guess what? Right now, people are looking for people with skills in the cloud, people who are AWS engineers, Azure certified engineers, and so on and so on. So it shows the skills competence towards we are moving towards the cloud-oriented skills. Yes, there's still demand for your database skills, but more and more often cloud skills, companies are looking for ways, office, things like products like Office 365 are basically cloud-based products. And people are looking for Office 365 administrators. So these are again, cloud-oriented solutions. So more and more skill sets are coming from the cloud more than the on-premise solutions. I believe that there is a role that on-premise still plays for many organizations. However, more and more computing, more and more, organizations are moving on minutes. I want to maybe catch a breath and invite questions from our participants.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nheta. And thanks to those who keep joining us. I think we're still having challenges with some trolls. I'll be trying to remove them. Yeah, I'm sure to those of us who joined as the meeting started, Mr. Nheta said you might not be getting into into deeper details of specific certification for this particular meeting.
Nigger.
Don't you be that mini?
Oh, nigger. Oh.
I'm just trying to remove some of these trolls.
Oh, nigger.
Please, let me just go.
Oh.
Okay. I've muted everyone, so I've just been getting some questions. Mr. Nheta, are you there? Hello, Mr. Nheta, are you still there? Fortunate, hello. I'm still just trying to get Mr. Nheta back as the host. Please bear with me.
Hello, Ashley.
Yes, I'm glad you can hear me now. It seems
Yes,
like we've got a lot of spam, but I'm just going to try and filter through most of the questions that are being raised.
yes, my apologies. This time it was a network. Okay.
It's fine. So one of the questions goes, do I really need a certification if I've got projects already running? If I've developed some projects, would I need still to pursue some certifications? I'm sure, say someone has posted their projects on on GitHub and many other online repositories. Do they still need certifications, or that is enough to validate their skill set?
All right. So the way I would answer that, Ashley, is that normally when our employers are looking or sometimes clients looking at engaging us, they will look at past projects that you have done. They will look at your contributions to some forum, to open source, various projects that can actually validate that you have done projects. So that's one way. However, if let us say you have got a competition who has also contributed, he has done a lot of projects like you. They also have projects there that demonstrate their experience. In addition, they also have certification. And so if you were either an employer or a client that is looking to onboard a service provider, which one would you choose? Because one is not only demonstrating, both of you are demonstrating that you are able, you are comfortable with the technology, you have done projects, but the other one, in addition, has done certifications. Which one would you choose?
Well, I think I'd have to agree with you there. Given the option, as you've said, I think I would definitely go for the one with the certification. I don't know if my response will be biased, but personally, I think I would go for someone with the certification.
Yeah, so I would think that if you look in general, most of us are actually doing some work, some projects. We've got some experience. Of course, in the event that the other one only has certification and the other one and it doesn't have experience, then the question would be, okay, this one has got experience, they've got demonstrated, they've demonstrated that they've done work with the project, but this one may not. However, the fact that they are validating that they may not have had an opportunity, like if someone is coming from college, we may not expect someone coming from college to have done, to have had accomplished many projects because they were at school. But if they can also validate their skills, it can show us that they have got the ability. They just need to be given the opportunity.
Thank you for that one. The second question that's there is, how do you choose a path? Someone is saying there are so many paths you can take to certify. You can take networking, you can take security. How best would you recommend someone to choose which path to go? Whether they can go the Cisco way or they can do CompTIA. And I guess this also covers the question of vendors. How do you choose the vendor? Should you choose certifications which are vendor neutral? Should you just go for different vendors? I don't know, how best can you assist someone who's asking that question?
Okay, so in terms of advising to say which certification to choose, firstly, we need to understand the individual. Not all of us are programmers. Not all of us are, networking engineers. We are not wired. We are wired differently. So it's important to understand what the individual, if they love to develop, and then maybe let us say we can start looking at the certifications to do with the development, but certifications to do with the development. But again, there are so many tools that you can utilize. So again, there are a number of questions that we need to be looking at. Other individuals are more wanting to do development, but doing mobile apps. Others, they just want to, to do cloud applications. So it really depends. It's a question that in terms of what to certify, which vendor, I cannot recommend a particular vendor. There are so many certifications out there. None is greater than the other, but what is important is to look at what the individual is trying to achieve, their orientation. So if I see myself taking up a career in software development, the kind of certification I would do may be totally be different from a networking engineer, may be totally be different from someone who is interested in database, or someone who is interested to do analytics and so on. So it's very difficult to give a broad answer without doing further probing. And also, Ashley, we are not saying one certification replaces experience, or you cannot say so I will just do certification and stop doing projects. You have to do projects. I mean, why are you certifying? So that you can actually have knowledge to do projects, right? So you can't say, look, I do certification and then I don't do projects. The reason why you are certifying is not a means to an end in itself. You are only acquiring a skill so that you can actually be able to do several projects that are related to the skill that you've acquired. All I'm simply saying is that when someone has got experience and a certification, they will stand out compared to someone who just have projects but they've not certified.
So I guess in a nutshell, you're saying it's all about achieving a balance. Of course, you need to do projects, you need to get certified, you get the technical expertise, and then as well, you might need to prove to an employer, because really there are some people who use dumps. There are a lot of dumps these days on the internet. One can just get dumps and then certify in 2 weeks. And, so you might also need just to add on, to actually prove 100%, if there's anything like that to your employer, that of course I've got the certificate, of course I'm a certified Java programmer, but I've also done this. So I think it's just about achieving a balance between the two. And I think also one of the questions that I've come across is, especially from recent graduates, is should I go for a master's or should I go for certifications, in case they're trying to manage costs and they cannot do both. I'll try to answer that, and maybe if you've got something here, you can also elaborate on that. recently,
Okay.
most institutions are now giving the same weight to certain certifications as compared to certain degrees or master's degrees. A good example is
You know,
the
actually, in fact, let me interrupt you momentarily.
no, that's
You
fine.
know, if you want to, if you want to immigrate to Australia, your CCNA certification for Cisco would actually be rated as a person with a degree.
Oh, that's new. I actually
So,
didn't know that.
Yes. So if you actually you score more points for you to qualify for a visa permit in Australia if you have got some certification. And unfortunately, Ashley, in our country, we are now beginning to see value of, I would say there has been an appreciation, but we are still low in terms of appreciating certifications. I will tell you without giving names. There's a young man who came here and he had some certification. He's an Indian guy. He was going for an university in Australia. He did basic certification like CompTIA Essential, CompTIA A+, CompTIA Networking. And he was going to study an IT degree. And so he came with, he did those certifications. And then when he left for his degree, when he got into Australia, because of the value that they put on certification, because certifications, if they are done properly, I'm not talking about, you know, just doing dumps and then you write exam, you spot the exams. No, I think that is the part of the problem that we have, where we study to pass the exam, not study to acquire knowledge and capability and skill sets. When I did my first MCSD, Microsoft Certified Solutions Developer, in the year 2000, there were not as many dumps back then. So, you know, I really had to study. And by the time, I will tell you, by the time I finished studying and passing my exams, I was very knowledgeable. I mean, during those days, we had VB6. I know you guys, you can laugh at me. That's how old I am. But during those, I was very knowledgeable of the technology, and even the level of productivity increased. The only problem is that when people seek to the certificate, the certificate is good, but it's not good on itself. It must be showing that you have really acquired some knowledge, not that you have run with the dump and gone through as many questions as possible so that you pass the exam. So I'm not talking about people who are just focusing on passing the exam without acquiring the necessary knowledge and skill set. If people do it properly, they would be actually, once they've certified, they would be able to demonstrate that they've mastery over a technology. So yes, of course, it's really an argument, because there are many people who go for dumps and they will pass the exam, but they are not knowledgeable. They are clueless. Of course, that is the challenge when people are just focusing on getting a paper, not focusing on getting the knowledge that will enable them to be able to carry out various tasks, the various work related to that particular technology. So I think every system, yes, it can be duped, but the idea behind the certification is to acquire you with a capability so that you are capable, to give you a competence, not necessarily just to hand you over a certificate which you forget soon after you finish the certification.
Thank you for
And
that.
the other thing I forgot, actually, the other thing I forgot to talk about is the fact that these technologies are being utilized worldwide. So your certification is a passport for you to go into any market. There are certain certifications that will just allow you to go and work anywhere in the world. If you have your degree right now and you want to go and work in Australia, they actually have to first verify which university is it? Is it a reputable university? Is it accredited, and so on? But when you say, look, I'm a VMware engineer, a VMware certified engineer, and you have got a certification that you passed VMware exams, it allows you to go and work in any market. It's because it demonstrates that you've got a skill set. Now, coming back to that student who went out, when he got to the university, he got actually a job, and he decided to say, look, let me be working and paying for my fees and do my degree program on a part-time basis. And his old man came back and said, you know what? I didn't know that these little investments we were making in getting the guy certified, my son certified, would actually save me 30,000 plus USD in annual fees. So that is how the value that certification has in other markets, especially when you think about the first world. In fact, in the other Western countries, you look at the US, UK, and many other markets, there's more value on certification than on the degree. But of course, the way they do their certification is not just to pass, to get a certificate. They thoroughly go through the process. I'm not saying other people will not try to cut corners. That always happens. But if you look at someone who has thoroughly gone through the process, they're actually more knowledgeable in terms of giving value than people who have not.
Yeah, so I guess it's also up to the providers of these certifications, the vendors and the different institutions to also make sure they put in place effective solutions to make sure the people cannot just cheat their way to get the certificates. People cannot just use dumps. I've realized most vendors these days, they are trying to use adaptive exams. So that the questions can actually change depending on the expertise of the person who will be taking the exam, and also their questions. So you find that if I take an exam today, I can take the same exam tomorrow. It will give me different questions which adapt to the way I will be answering these questions. That I think it's just one of the ways that can be used to tackle the issue of people cheating their way to get certifications, and
that's true, Ash. For others, what they've done is they also the exam is also very adaptive. Even as you are taking the exam, it will change all kinds of things, and then they include things like labs as well. There are some exams where you actually have to do to set up labs in the environment of the exam, which makes it more harder. If you were just, let us say, trying to use dumps, you may find it that section where you have to do labs and so on, you may find it more tougher. But yes, there are various ways that they are trying to make it much more practical, rather than questions that are simply straightforward answers and which we can share after I finished my exam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nheta. I don't know, do we still have any burning questions? I think I've exhausted the questions that I got from the chat. Do you still have any people with any burning questions? You can maybe raise your hand or post on the chat. But I think I've exhausted all the questions that we posted on the chat. That being that, I guess, Mr. Nheta, you can share if you've got any closing remarks.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. Tino has got a question.
Okay. Tino is saying is a mobile developer with no certification and looking into venturing in cloud computing. So should he first get a mobile development certification, or he should try to solidify his skills or go for cloud computing? I don't know if you got that one clearly. Sorry, Tino.
Yeah, I get him. Well, look, for example, what I mean, I would love to ask you a bit more questions to answer, in terms of what you are wanting to do there. But I would say, look, if you were already a mobile developer, why don't you certify? I don't know whether you were developing on Android. You certify, you demonstrate, you validate your skills, and then you can begin to venture into cloud computing. And there again, I mean, there are a number of cloud solutions providers. In fact, all the major vendors have got some cloud services, whether you look at IBM, Oracle, or you look at Microsoft. There are many cloud computing vendors. So you want to consider what technology. There's also Amazon, AWS. So you want to consider what technology do you want to focus on, and then you can venture into certifying. But I think it will be good to demonstrate that not only have you done projects, but you are very knowledgeable. My advice is that normally for cloud computing, for your mobile developer, since you are already, I suppose, abreast with the technology, it shouldn't take you long to actually certify, because you have worked with the technology. You have been exposed, you have demonstrated, you have done projects with it. So what you may find is that for you to certify on your mobile developer skills, it should be easy. And then maybe you spend a little bit more time now into the new area that you are venturing, which is your cloud computing. I hope to know that I answer your questions. But again, it depends on what you are trying to accomplish. Sometimes these things require us to have a one-on-one, and then I try to locate where you are, what you are currently trying to do into the future, for me to come up with a skills development plan.
Okay. Mr. Chinyadza, Itai, it looks like you also have something to add. If you can please just quickly share your thoughts to help answer Tino there. I've unmuted your mic.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity. So, just giving you a bit of a background, I work for AWS as for Amazon, right? And Tino, just to give you well, I'd say an approach that I often see from my employer's perspective with candidates like you. We do not necessarily would say gauge certifications up higher there. The projects that you would have done will eventually tell us how you are, or what you've worked on, or how you can contribute, right? But from a career perspective, I think I've been a beneficiary of certifications myself. Getting into AWS itself was because I certified in the Cisco. I'm a network security engineer, but I certified with the Cisco's. I then did some checkpoints and all those other CISP certifications. But the idea is for a person like yourself who's starting out, if, for example, you chose the AWS way, with an AWS associate exam, for example, or the preparation that you get to it, you will be exposed to tooling that would help you make the choice ultimately, whether dev is your thing, networking is your thing, security is your thing, database is your thing. That one exam, that base exam, helps you identify where you eventually want to end up. So I believe maybe even Microsoft might have the same thing, and maybe Azure also has the same approach. So the world, even I saw a couple of my colleagues on LinkedIn were talking about Oracle recently offering the same opportunities. So the world, as rightly indicated by the host here and Ash. So it's a career mode. It's like that one-on-one discussion you have, and you find your passion. What is your passion? Do you smile? Even I've worked with guys who have been devs themselves, mobile devs, even at startup, and then they completely change their career path along the way. So they changed the career path to starting security. They're getting interested in security and networking. So have that one-on-one conversation with the person who will help you identify, or mentoring programs. I think on LinkedIn you can also identify who you can befriend and try and get mentoring advice, proper mentoring advice, not people who have heard people, but people who actually are working in the same career that you think is what is your passion. So that's basically my contribution, guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, there, Mr. Itai. Quite insightful contributions, and I'm sure, Tino, your question has been properly answered now. I mean, you can, yeah, as you said, you can, look for people who are in that field on LinkedIn, and follow them, and you can always get an idea of what's going on in the field, what to do and what not to do by following people who are in the same field, or who took the same path as the one that you want to take. And as I said on Mr. Nheta, I'm sure you can share any concluding remarks, since we are way past our hour mark now, and I'm sure some people want to go back to their station.
Time. All right. Thank you, Ashley, and thank you, Itai, and everyone who came into this discussion. I think really it's a lot of things in the short time that we had. But just to say that it's important to understand that certification is not just about acquiring a piece of paper, and it's about you acquiring certain skills and competence to help you in your career, in your organization, in developing your skill sets, that will also can be able to differentiate you. There are some who have benefited a lot in terms of certification, and I think I love this discussion. I think perhaps Ashley, I would ask that maybe we can have more sessions breaking them into specifics that can then help, especially our young brothers and sisters who are coming into the profession, just to be able to provide some guidance, some light, shed some light, hopefully to assist them in making the right career choices, and so that they know how they should position themselves in their professional career which they are starting. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you very much. So we're going to try to arrange, these webinars as we're trying to get to have at least per fortnight. We've got one of these. So guys, please be on the lookout on our, we'll try to share on all platforms, on our LinkedIn, on our Twitter, Computer Society of Zimbabwe, on our Facebook, so that we get to have these discussions, and we hope, as he said, those who are still, you know, upcoming. This one specifically was to try and get, you know, those who are still studying or those who are, you know, recent grads. But you know, you are free to suggest if there are any topics that you'd want us to table, any burning topics. Please feel free to talk to us. Our time is up, and there being no further business, I think we're going to end this meeting now. Thank you very much to all who joined and all who shared the meeting. Guess we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, Ashley.